the Republican Party is the heart of this festering rot. Frankly, the Republicans should never be allowed to win elections again. Ever. We should beat them anywhere and everywhere. Fun as it would be to do a Jubilee segment, I'm afraid something actually politically relevant has taken place recently, and it should probably be looked at. They're not going to effing succeed. Thank you, YouTube monetization algorithm. Top generals feared Trump would attempt a coup after election, according to a new book. Hit me with it, handsome man.
Comparing then President Trump's rhetoric to Hitler's and his followers to brown shirts, to Nazis. That top commander finding himself rallying subordinates to protect the peaceful transfer of authority and perhaps even head off a coup, having to explain to the Speaker of the House that no, this country will not launch a nuclear strike at the whim of who she characterized as an unbalanced president. These and other chilling scenes are contained in a new book, I Alone Can Fix It, Donald J. Trump's catastrophic final year. The authors are Pulitzer Prize-winning journalists from the Washington Post, Carol Leonnig and Philip Rucker. It comes out next week. CNN has obtained a series of excerpts, each which is really more alarming than the next. In this one, General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is reassuring his deputies about preventing a coup attempt. Quoting now from the book, "They may try, but they're not going to effing succeed," he told them. "You can't do this without the military. You can't do this without the CIA and the FBI. We are the guys with the guns." CNN special correspondent Jimmy Gangale is doing the reporting on this for us. She joins us now. I mean, it's fascinating.
Essentially, what we're looking at here is that there's going to be another tell-all book talking about the final year of Trump's presidency, but military leadership, it seems primarily Milley, the person who was recently grilled unsuccessfully by Matt Gaetz in a congressional hearing on the subject of critical race theory, they were afraid that Donald Trump was going to try to prompt a military coup, and they essentially said, no, that will not happen. And they engage in some preparatory action to stop it. Now, before anything else happens, I want to point out that there are going to be Trump supporters who will claim that's ridiculous. A military coup, which is really funny because what was his name? Who was the Trump administration member who recently said we need a military coup like in Myanmar? Was it Flynn? Yeah, Flynn. Yeah, literally Michael Flynn saying this is what we need. Also, I remember what happened right before and during the election kerfuffle. Remember? The main line from hardcore Trump supporters and QAnoners was Donald Trump is taking a backseat, but there will be a military insurrection that he will lead. He's in the control of the real government. Biden may control like the phony Washington government, but he will lead the military in to secure real control of the country. Right? You all remember this, right? I'm not making this up. That was a commonly accepted notion among Trump supporters at the time. Yeah, that at first it was Trump would win, but then when Trump wasn't winning, it was like, oh, well, Biden's cheating, but Trump will come in with the military. They still say this, by the way. If you go on crazy QAnon forums, they still believe that the military will be a vessel for like the resurgence of Trump's power. And the fact that, and look, you can call me a lib for being concerned about the possibility that our country might be overtaken in a fascist military coup. You can say I'm a lib for believing that, whatever. But the fact that Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is concerned about the potential for a military coup is insane. That is insane. We're on untreaded ground. This didn't happen in 2000 after Bush v. Gore. This didn't happen during the Obama presidency. This is a new thing, at least new in the modern era. The genuine instability of our democratic institutions to the extent that they are democratic at the least. Now, of course, this book hasn't come out yet, but the quotes that came out prompted a response from Donald Trump. He released a statement through his big email, statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States. Despite massive voter fraud and irregularities during the 2020 presidential election scam. By the way, I want to make the argument, this opening sentence right here is an attempt at a coup. The first step of a coup is the delegitimization of whatever results took forth beforehand. saying that it was a big election scam, voter fraud irregularities, that's also an attempt at a coup. That may not be an attempt at a military coup. It's still an attempt at a coup. Even language like this is an attempt that we are now seeing play out in a very big and important states. I never threatened or spoke about to anyone a coup of our government. So ridiculous. Sorry to inform you. You never spoke out about a coup of our government, but you did everything possible to legally challenge the elector results, and then you led your supporters to attack the Capitol to try to keep Pence from verifying and ratifying those electoral results. So you never spoke about or threatened a coup of our government. You just sent people to attack a building to halt an inevitable part of the democratic process, which would have led to the election of your opponent. You know. And if I was going to do a coup, one of the last people I'd want to do it with is General Mark Milley. Some real if I did it vibes here. You know, I wouldn't do a military coup. But if I did, I wouldn't do it with this beta cuck soy boy. Okay? He got his job only because the world's most overrated general, James Mattis, could not stand him, had no respect for him, and would not recommend him. To me, the fact that Mattis didn't like him, just like Obama didn't like him and actually fired Milley, was a good thing, not a bad thing. I often act counter to people's advice who I don't respect. So Trump is literally saying he only appointed Milley because the previous guy didn't like him. That's it. That's it. He's admitting that. Like, no actual assessment of his credentials, qualifications, skills, or value to the government. Just the Obama-era guy didn't like him, so I put him in. And he's complaining about that? Like, how can any Trump supporter just look at this and not think that Trump is a spiteful bitch who just doesn't like Obama? Like, okay. All right. Most overrated general in all time. What does that even mean? In any event, I lost respect for Milley when we walked together to St. John's Church, which was still smoldering from a radical left fire set the day before. A radical left fire. Not the radical left set it on fire. The fire itself was radically left. You know how most fire is like a reddish, orangish yellow? This fire was just red. Opaque. Communist fire. Okay? Side by side, a walk that has now been proven to be totally appropriate. What? Is this the, was this the attack on the square? What was it? The attack on the square that he did? Is that what we're referring to? Yeah, the church photo shoot thing. Hindsight has shown this to be totally appropriate. Lafayette Square, yeah. We're gassing the protesters and then taking a photo op with the Bible upside down. Totally, history has vindicated me. Milley reportedly expressed concern at the time with the clearing of the square. And the following day, Milley choked like a dog in front of the fake news when they told him they thought he should not have been walking with the president, which turned out to be incorrect. What? It turned out to be incorrect that they said he shouldn't be walking with... It's because Milley was wearing his military combat uniform alongside Trump. People thought it was inappropriate. It was. The whole thing was inappropriate. He apologized profusely, making it a big story, instead of saying, I'm proud to walk with and protect the President of the United States. He's such a little bitch, dude. Trump just admits it. Like, he's mad because he didn't... He wants him to act like a dog for him instead of to any other group. He's like, he should have said, no, I'm proud to serve the Trump, even though he doesn't serve Trump. He serves the Constitution. Jesus. Had he said that, it would have all been over, no big deal, but I saw at that moment he had no courage or skill. Certainly not the type of person I'd be talking coup with. I'm not into coups. This is parody, dude. I'm mad because his response to the media caused trouble for me. He should have just blindly supported me, even though he swore an oath to the Constitution and not to me. I wouldn't do a coup with someone like him. I'm not into coups. In fact, around the same time, Milley, in a conversation, was an advocate of changing all the names of our military forts and bases. Based. I realized then also he was a much different person than I had hoped. Maybe you should have looked into him instead of just appointing him to be a contrarian to the Obama administration? Dude. I said to him, spend more time thinking about China and Russia and less time on being politically correct. Okay. Very nice. It does read like an Onion article. It really does. It does. It really does. Absolutely unhinged. True. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure you all wanted your Jubilee segment, but this shit's important, you know? Not only is there an unprecedented threat to our democracy right now with more and more Republicans saying they believe the great lie that the election was stolen, this is going to continue into the future. Democrats will never win an election that Republicans will not contest in the future. Ever. You realize that, right? For this generation and the next and the generation after that, every victory by a Democrat to the presidency will have this happen again. Everything that happened in 2020 or worse every single time. It doesn't matter who the Republican candidate is, they're going to run the same scam every single time because it's infinitely easier than actually advocating for any real policies to push for. It's way, way, way easier than actually doing their job. It's gonna keep happening. And stuff like the January 6th Capitol riot is gonna keep happening too. Maybe next time it'll be at like a ratification, or maybe it'll be at a DNC office or something, but something's going to get bombed, some people are going to get killed, and the Republicans will defend it. They'll say Antifa did it, but then when an investigation takes place, they'll say, no, we don't want an investigation because Patriots did it, and they did it for a good reason. They'll switch back and forth. They'll say whatever they need to at the time to minimize the optical harm to their position. Maybe Democratic candidates will start getting killed. Maybe AOC will catch a bullet in the back of the head one day while walking down, a street in D.C. And, what'll happen if that happens? The Republicans will be split 50-50 between saying that it's based and saying that Antifa did it as a false flag. Nothing's ever going to happen. There is a heart to this corruption, a festering heart, and it is the Republican Party. It's true there are many conservatives in this country, but I really do believe that most of these people, most of these conservatives, are genuine, good, honest people who might have some shit opinions, but for the most part, they're trying to make their way in life, Even the reactionary ones, a lot of them, I think, they're on a fundamental level, I think they're trying their best, and they get led astray by propaganda that is fed to them by people who are trying to use it to obfuscate the real aims of their political agenda, which is generally like a pro-business or, I guess, anti-democracy agenda, The Republican Party is the heart of this festering rot. And frankly, the Republicans should never be allowed to win elections again, ever. We should beat them anywhere and everywhere. I want Democrats winning local elections in Alabama. I want them to be shoo-ins everywhere. The Republicans advocate nothing. They do nothing good. They're nothing but bad. They're an anti-democratic party, and the fact that they continue to influence American politics is a sign of our civilizational decay. You should not allow anti-democracy parties to corrupt a democratic system. So what do? Obviously, we need to get rid of the Electoral College. Obviously, the Senate needs to be restructured. Obviously, D.C. should be a state. Obviously, we need to push back against the dozens of anti-voting laws Republicans are pushing in their states. We need to do anything and everything that we can to get on top of them here, not because we oppose democracy, but because we support it. Because the alternative is to allow democracy to be crumbled to dust by people who represent a tiny minority of the country but aren't willing to play fair. Simple as that. Simple as. What do we love, folks? What's that meme, Love the Queen. Love football. Love fish and chips. Love tits. Love beer. Hate fascism. Love your dad. Love me mum. Hate Italy. Yeah. Hate the French. Love England. All right. Stop. Seriously. Take this serious, okay? It's a real problem. And keep an eye on any and all of these signs. We're fighting right now not for socialism against capitalism. We're fighting for democracy against fascism. And I'd love the socialism bit too, but we lose any chance at that if we lose our democracy, okay? So stay vigilant. And even if this stuff feels libby, care about it. Maybe I'll even buy a copy of that book, The Last Year of the Trump Presidency. I don't know. I've never read one of those tell-all presidential administration books, but if it has info like that in there, maybe there's something useful in there. I don't know. I know how to read books. So a one-party state to save democracy? No. First of all, I want to be clear about this, okay? A one-party state where all you can vote for is Democrats would be objectively more democratic than the current two-party state. Not having any choice but to vote for the Democrats is preferable to having another choice, and the other choice is destroying democracy. If it's like, what's a better system, you know? A system where you can only do X, or you can do X and press a button to nuke Megaton. It's not really a positive improvement. That being said, we don't have to limit ourselves to a single party system. Why don't we open up the voting system so that we can have third parties actively participate? Why not have ranked choice voting and do it, properly? Why not? We could try abolishing the party system altogether. That's a bit of a utopian dream considering how things are going right now. There are a million solutions to the problems we're facing right now, but the solution to a two-party system is not to allow one of those parties to fester until it becomes an openly anti-democratic fascist party, There are better solutions to that, Publicly financed elections. We literally have other countries that do this better. Look at Europe. They have their own problems, sure, but they literally do this better than we do. Imagine if there were two parties in Greece. In Greece, okay? What's the hold on. Greece Parliament. What's like the main party? The Hellenic Parliament right now. The Hellenic Parliament. What do they got right now? New Democracy. The New Democracy, okay? Okay. So the main two parties, it looks like, are New Democracy and Syriza, Syriza, right? Right? Okay? Now imagine if there were only two parties, okay? Imagine if it was New Democracy and Golden Dawn, okay? The neo-Nazi party. And I was like, we probably shouldn't have the Golden Dawn represented in Parliament. Like, that shouldn't be there, And then someone's like, oh, so you want a one-party system? Well, no, I just don't want a two-party system where one of the two parties is a fascist party. That's all I'm asking for. No, I'm not advocating for a one-party system. Why don't we have like multiple parties where none of them are fascist parties, ideally? Though, quick clarification, the Golden Dawn is significantly worse than the Republican Party. So do keep that in mind. Not necessarily comparing them in the severity of their parties. The Golden Dawn is far, far worse. Yeah. Yeah, that's... Is there a point to which a political party can be banned? I think there is a strong argument for banning anti-democratic parties in a democratic system. Democracies must preserve themselves, Imagine if you have, like... It's like, imagine if you have, like, an area, and it's, like, illegal to hurt people. Well, you still have self-defense laws, right? It may be illegal to assault somebody, but self-defense laws are preserved because self-defense is a mechanism by which you can deter and prevent harm being done illegitimately. So, in essence, the promotion of some types of anti-democratic action actually preserve the broader democracy. Or to use a slightly different example, if you had two groups of people who can vote in your country, okay? Half of them are people and half of them are orcs, okay? The orcs want a wah. They don't care about democracy, but if they ever get the presidential win, they will institute a wah, and they will rampage across the planet, killing everything they can find. Are you really harming democracy by not allowing them to vote? This sounds rather essentialist because, like, the orcs are like a different people. But I mean, like, if one group of people's political aims is the destruction of the democracy, are you really limiting democracy by not allowing them to destroy the democracy? Maybe the orc example is bad because it's essentialist, but I'm not making an essentialist argument. I just think that if you're anti-democracy, you probably shouldn't be in a democratic election. I don't know. It's just an opinion I have. Of course, if you want to make a racial allegory, the orcs are, of course, Italians in this example. Other people, unfavorable people, they may say that it's another group, but no, it actually is Italians. They are the ones who want to initiate they did all of those crusades, didn't they? They are the ones who want to engage in the global